Hey, you guys, welcome back to our podcast. We have a very special guest with us today. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Brian Worley from Atlanta.
From
Georgia.
Atlanta, Georgia. Well, we actually just talked about it, and you're from Austin,
Yeah,
and so am I.
We're actually Texans.
Yeah, and I actually talk about it all the time on this podcast, so everyone's like,
cool.
yeah, we get it.
Okay, yeah, I'm always like, my dog's name was Tex. I'm literally
I
like,
love that.
any way to reference Texas.
I mean, yeah, my name is Dallas, so I totally get it.
And it was funny because then they're like, Dallas is like, oh, I wonder if there's any relation to Texas.
Yeah, no.
And then,
No,
because I went to North Texas.
I know. Okay, so I kind of stalked you, and I didn't know you were from Austin, but I saw that you went to North Texas, yeah. Loved it. And
yeah.
It's like a little tiny Austin. I like
you're
it.
Significantly younger, but I'm sure that it's changed a lot too, as all.
It's gotten cooler, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's become a little
too.
trendier.
It was fun to go to college there, but
Yeah.
I think that it's definitely like considerably larger and has completely changed the landscape of what it was when I was there.
Yeah.
Back in the tumbleweed
Oh my
days.
gosh, you're ridiculous.
I mean, going from Dallas to Denton used to be like Dallas, Louisville, Denton, and now it's just Dallas.
It's just
Denton.
Dallas.
It's
yeah.
like
It's
just
huge.
one long continuous
Of the same landscape.
Yeah.
The same thing.
Yeah.
Well, he's not just Brian from Atlanta. You're very successful in this industry. So what all do you do? I know you started in wedding planning, am I right?
So I started, well, I mean, it was a career that I didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
I moved to Los Angeles my senior year of college to do my internships. I was a film major and photography minor, and then found myself in LA. And as anyone does, you kind of pivot and figure out what you're doing. I worked in production, and then I just got to the point where I needed a steady paycheck. So I got a job at Banana Republic in Beverly Hills.
Love it.
A guy that came
As one
in.
does.
Yeah, you do. I mean, off Rodeo Drive. And a guy came in, he did events that I was helping. And obviously working in retail, you don't make a lot of money. So we just kind of struck up a conversation, and he said, well, come, help me out. So one thing kind of led to another, and we eventually started a company together, which we ended up separating for not the best business partners.
It's hard to work with people that closely.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially as your business grows.
Well, and
like,
we
I'm
didn't,
sure.
it was just like I went into business with some guy that I really didn't know
Yeah.
very well, and whatever.
You live and
Move
you learn.
on. Everything.
You live and you learn.
I completely believe that everything happens for a reason.
sure.
And something happened. I said, "You just take the company. I want nothing to do with it."
Oh, wow.
And,
Okay.
And literally a week later, I got a call that there was a company that needed a creative director person, and so I went in, interviewed, and I got the job. And my first job was to design the first Harry Potter premiere.
What? Your first gig on your own?
Well, I mean, I had the team, but
Right.
was like it was in New York. I had to fly to New York. I got to go see a private screening of the movie, and I thought, I have arrived. I thought
cool.
this is
So
the coolest thing ever. And from there,
I'm a huge Harry Potter person, so.
Well, and I got to literally, I would go onto the studio lot, and then I ended up designing probably like 65 or 70 movie premieres. So it was really fun. I would drive onto the lot. I would get a private screening in like this room. I would take notes, and then say like when I did Cat in the Hat, or I did Lemony Snicket.
Another fantastic movie.
Yeah.
That is such a slept on movie. It's so funny.
Well, and it was fun because I would go to the warehouse where they had all the props, and I
Yeah.
would get to pick the props that I wanted to use in the after party for the premiere.
Cool.
So I thought this is cool, and it was not anything that I ever thought I would ever do.
Yeah.
It was not a career that I was social chairman for my fraternity, but
that's how it all.
Yeah,
guys, that starts a lot.
I know a lot of people, they're
I
social
was-
chairman, and they're like, okay,
I was social and recruitment for my sorority, and now I'm a wedding planner.
right.
It's the pipeline, guys.
Well, and I always joke that you get all the whenever someone calls and they want to get information on how to become a wedding planner and get into this business, most often, I would say 90% of the time, it's female, and she starts off, I was social chairman for my sorority.
Yeah.
And I said, well, it's completely different. I was
And they think they're so prepared.
Right.
They being me. You think you know what you're doing.
And I always start by saying, you're going to be the first one there. You're going to be the last one to leave. You're going to run around all day. You're going to be sweating. You're going to be highly uncomfortable, making sure that everyone's happy. You're going to go into a bathroom. You're going to take some paper towels. You're going to wet your armpits, and then you're going to change it into something that's even more uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And you're going to run around and try to make people happy. And then at the end of the night, you're going to still be in uncomfortable shoes. You're going to be really sweaty with a walkie-talkie hanging from your waist. And then you're going to have to stay there and clean up.
Yeah. And then you might cry on your way home.
Well,
just a little.
Cry. I don't know if I've ever cried yet. But,
really?
No, I don't think I have ever cried. But
I need to get myself together. I've never cried either.
Yeah. Dallas, don't cry. There's no crying in events. I mean, it's a very famous line from J-Lo's The Wedding Planner. Just kidding.
No, I really have put myself in a bathroom for a minute and just went.
Well, I mean, there are times for sure when you need that 10 minutes to just count down and say, okay, I can do this.
Yeah. Okay. The mom's not actually going to hurt me. Yeah.
So, but then my career, I did that. And then I decided I didn't want to do events anymore. And so when I first moved to LA, I cast TV shows, and I just happened to be sitting next to my old boss flying back from somewhere. And she said she had then become the head of casting for CBS and said, well, come work for me again. So I cast 2 seasons of The Amazing Race.
Whoa.
Which was really fun. And then.
Are you guys for real?
Well, and then I decided to get back into events. And so I started doing events again. And kind of what I always wanted to do when I moved there was I wanted to be a film producer or a director. But then I also just started taking all these classes at UCLA through the extension, and I wanted to be an entertainment reporter, and I did try my hand at acting and did a few different things. Fun. Acting. I
think I could be a star.
You should.
You're
a star right now. Look you have a podcast.
Thank you. I was born with a stage name. Yeah, Dallas, all caps. Exactly.
It's single, no last name. You're just Dallas.
Name, just Dallas.
You're like just Jack, just Dallas, just Cher, just Madonna.
One could say I'm like Prince or something. Yeah.
I did get to go to a fun party at Prince's house after the Oscars one year, which was pretty fun.
What?
Well, you brought him up.
That's so crazy.
So I just name dropped. But he died.
Keep going. Keep name dropping. This is fantastic.
No. So then, what did I do after? I got back into events, and then I got to do all the things that I kind of wanted to do after. I wanted to do like 10 things.
Yeah.
And then I realized if you focus on one and get good at it, then everything else kind of falls into place.
Skills.
And that's where then I got to host 3 different TV shows. And
okay, so what TV shows did you host?
So I did one on E called Party Monsters, and it was similar to, say, a Project Runway.
Okay.
And I got to be the Tim Gunn of the show.
Love that.
So we were in Cabo, moved to Cabo for a month, and we filmed the show, and the contestants had to throw parties. So we threw parties for 50 Cent, Little John, the Kardashians, Missy Elliott, Brody Jenner.
I would love to go in the contact folder of your phone. It's probably insane.
It was fun. It was definitely fun to do that show. And then I did another show for E called Back in Wedding Shape. And so it was the creators of Biggest Loser, and it was overweight couples competing for their dream wedding.
Oh, good for them.
And then
what a time of reality TV.
I know.
Just
back in the day.
Exploiting people.
Well, I mean, reality, that's what it did. Back in the day, you could do it. I did a bunch of episodes of a show called Platinum Weddings, where the weddings were over the top for what weddings were back then. Obviously, we have grown, and weddings have become way more like over the top and crazy than they used to be. And then I did another show called Back in Wedding Shape, and it was couples that were married, and it was myself giving them their dream kind of remarriage, a trainer helping them get back into shape so that they could fit into their dress and tuxedo that they wore for their wedding, and a therapist that helped them with their relationship. Their marriage. So
bring that back. I'd watch it.
Yeah, so it was fun. I mean, those were fun times, and
so cool.
Now I think that to do a reality show on weddings, you just the stakes are so high because the reveal has to be so incredibly.
It has to
over the top and amazing because no one wants to watch some sad, like, here's our reveal.
Yeah, and it really does have to be over the top because with all of our exposure to like Instagram, TikTok, everything that we can see everyone's weddings. Like we can see like heiresses in France that we don't even know exist at like their weddings, and you're like, oh, okay. You would have never seen it unless social media.
Social media has killed so many things, so many good things.
No, it really has.
I mean, it's changed my whole life. Like, you do social media, and I remember when I first started doing this, it was like, your social media, your Instagram has to be all about events, all about events, all about events. And, we would post everything that was weddings and event stuff. And then I finally just got to the point where I was like, I just don't care anymore.
Yeah.
And so I kind of went against that stereotype norm. And so I have a pretty fun life. I travel, I speak at conferences all over. I get to travel the world and do events all over the place. And so my life just kind of my Instagram became my life of this is what it is, rather than just showing events. And so if you don't like my Instagram now because it's, me traveling or my feet in the sand, or
just look at your tagged photos.
Yesterday doing, or I did a whole story on St. Patrick's Day, the parade. And so I've had now clients, and this is the perfect segue into how I love my clients to be, because I'm working with a client who is like, we don't understand your Instagram. You're all over the place. It's kind of crazy, but you have such a fun life, and we want to work with someone fun. And so
that's
we
good,
want to work
because
with
I feel like there's always hesitation in me when I post. A lot of brides specifically, which is mostly what we work with, they want to know that they are number one, like they are our priority. So sometimes I'm like, okay, well, I'm in a really fun place this weekend, but I'm worried about posting because I haven't answered her email. I'm like,
well, I think that your bride wants to have a fun life. So she wants to know. And I think that that's where, for me, I can relate I've done a lot of really cool things in my life. I backpacked 500 miles across Spain. I've stayed in amazing resorts. I've traveled the world. I have met amazing people. And I think that when you get to a point in your career and the people that you want to work with, you have to be able to converse with them.
Yeah.
And so when you're sitting down with a potential client, you need to be able to speak their language and say, I had a meeting last week, and the bride's mom had just come back from Deer Valley. Well, she and I were in Deer Valley skiing the same week.
Oh,
and
wow.
So
you have to culture yourself to sell yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
you have to be able to speak their language, especially as you get in certain levels of this industry where they know, okay, he or she totally can relate and understands what I'm talking about.
Yeah. At some point, did you look at everything you've done and you're like, how the hell did I get here?
It's funny. I have a big corporate event that I'm doing in San Diego in May. And so I was in San Diego in January for the site inspection. And so I was with my client and some other people from the company. And I don't really think about like the crazy things that my life I've done.
It happens so gradually. You don't usually,
I mean, over 51 years, I've done a lot of cool things. And so someone will start talking about something, and then it's not like I'm trying to brag or trying to be a one-up or anything, but I feel like I always have, I can relate in some way, or have a story that kind of can go along with whatever they're saying. And
it comes off genuine.
I hope so. And, and my client afterwards, she sent me an email and it was like, thank you so much for sharing like so many crazy fun stories of your life. Our client just thinks that you're like, have this really crazy fun life. And when you start to like over a few days of site inspections and going from meeting to meeting and sitting there with people that you don't really know, and you're having conversations and you're eating, meals with people that you don't know, and conversation just naturally happens. And I'm one of those people, like silence kind of makes me nervous. So
same. I have to talk all the time. I tell these girls all the time, I'm like, I could talk to a brick wall because I'd rather have that than like hear my own thoughts.
Right. Because then I'm like, what's going on?
There's a lot going on up here.
Yeah. And sometimes I think my brain is thinking faster than what I'm saying. So I'm
sure. No, for sure. This is so like stupid and like totally not, I don't do this every day, but we were randomly talking about our horoscopes, and I read mine this morning, and part of it said like something about talking too much, and I was like, okay, so I need to keep my yap shut today is what they're telling me, I guess. But okay.
I remember I had a babysitter when I was little, and she once told me that you only get so many words in your life, so make sure so you need to really use them sparingly. I was young, and so I spent some days and then I found out that wasn't true. But I also remember when we were kids, I don't know if your parents told you this, but if you stuck your hand out the window, that someone would come by and chop it off.
Yes, yeah. Or if you turn the light on in the car, you're going to get arrested. Did you just hear that one?
I didn't hear that one.
Oh, yeah, me either.
But as you got older, you're like, No one came to, cut off my hand.
Yeah, yeah.
I have my hand. So, but I did believe that about only having so many words.
Were you a kid in class that got like moved around the classroom because you talked to everyone?
No, I was actually a really big nerd. And
Oh, really?
I always sat in the front of class.
Oh.
So, yeah, I
Can't relate.
was a total.
I was always moved around, and I thought it was because I was the good kid and I was being put at the bad kids table, but I was actually the instigator. Like, I was the problem.
Wow.
I know. I got chiller as I got older.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I guess it's kind of a sad story, or you
Tell
look
it,
back
I don't
at
care.
it, but yeah, when I was in high school, I was really overweight, and I didn't have a very nice nickname that they called me, but I asked the counselor if I could take an extra class so I didn't have to sit by myself during lunch. So my sophomore year, I went to school all day, so I didn't have to sit by myself. It was
Stop. That's so sad. Have you written a book yet?
no.
You should write a book and put that in there.
Well, I mean, I think that, and I look back on it, and so I just threw my 30-year high school reunion a few years ago, and
Oh, I bet that was crazy.
and it was so much fun.
Yeah.
Because we had our 10 and our 20-year high school reunion, and they were at a bar, and I thought, this is not how we should party.
No.
So it was a Footloose meets Yellowstone theme, and we rented a ranch in Dripping Springs. And
pretty.
I had everyone out there. I had an 80s cover band. And I had it catered, and we had like Mexican food. And
Of course.
we used to do, I had all these surprises throughout the night, and then leading up to it, I did a newsletter. So I had a whole lookbook on the way to dress. And then I had them bring all the tractors and stuff from the ranch. And then we set up a Vanity Fair style photo shoot with 140 people.
That.
140 people came.
Love that.
And so I had people standing on them in pose and everyone looking. And I made them. It didn't turn out with 140 people. It's a little hard to orchestrate, but
the vision was there.
and then it just happened that one of my classmates, that he was an editor, and so we created a Dropbox and had everyone send pictures and find pictures from high school. And
That's so fun.
I was that nerd that carried a video camera around everywhere, and so my mom found all the videotapes, and we created this video of photos and some video of pep rallies and all that kind of stuff. So it was really fun.
That would be so fun.
And it was a really fun reunion. And now everyone's like, we are doing it again. We're doing it again.
Yeah,
I was
get
like,
the tractors out here.
I will do it for 35, and I'll do it for 40.
Yeah,
and then I thought, okay, we're going to do, because we had such a good time. I was like, we're going to do it like every year. We're going to have like a summer party at the lake. And then, life happens, and then that didn't happen.
Yeah, it's so hard. You always say that. Yeah.
But it was a fun party.
That's awesome.
So
I love that stands out in your head out of everything like you've done. You remember all the details for like something so personal that you've done.
I mean, the most personal, my mom's getting married in June.
Yeah,
so
tell me about that.
I did my sister's wedding, she was in the middle of a residency. She
Was it in Texas?
It was in Texas. Okay. So we had hunting lease down in South Texas. So we did the rehearsal dinner there, and then she got married in Laredo.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so she got married in Laredo, and I did all the flowers, and I had all the linens made, and I was living in LA at the time, and I had them all shipped to to Laredo, and I spent 2 days making all the flower arrangements while everyone was out having fun.
Wow.
But
so you do, we'll get back into that, but continue.
But that was one of those times where my sister had no idea she literally trusted me and just said, you do what you need to do. And those are the best clients. I'm sure that you would
that's
say
like
that
my
as well.
dream clients, by the way, guys. If you just let me do what I want to do, it's going to be really cool.
Right. That's
I have one right now, and I'm like, oh, thank God. Like so many cool things come from it, because no offense, but we like see what's coming. We see what's going to be really cool.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, and so that was with my sister. She gave me complete reign to do whatever I wanted. And I just remember walking into the ballroom, or was it an art gallery, and walking in there with my sister before anyone else. And we had like a little tear, and it makes me, sentimental thinking about it. But it was a special time. And so we had these really cool metal candelabras made for my sister's wedding for like tall arrangements. And so my mom's getting married in June in Austin, and so I'm using those again for my mom's wedding because we still have them. And
That's
she's
so cool.
she's 78 and she's marrying an 80-year-old man. I really like to say my
love
mom's getting
that.
married to an 80-year-old. But then it's really fun to say, well, she's also 78 and she
Good
wants
for her.
a garden wedding. So I'm
Aw.
bringing my floral team from Atlanta
Yeah.
and she was like, well, we don't have to do a lot for the wedding. And I said,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, how many people get to do their mom's wedding that are in this
Yeah,
industry?
I would go full on,
Right.
like all out.
Yeah. So I was like, you tell me what your budget is, and then I'm covering everything else because we're doing this right. So
I can't wait to see
it's
those
gonna
photos.
be we had a lot of fun because I would send her pictures
Mhm.
of, and we picked out all the linens, and she sent me a
Love it.
picture of the bouquet that she wanted, and
That's such a special thing you get to do for your mom.
yeah, it's really fun.
It's
I'm
kind of like
excited.
okay, once I've made it, I want to buy my parents a house, but this
Yeah.
is even more like you really get to do something
Yeah,
for her, like
I'm
with your
super excited.
talents.
Yeah, and I've done events. I did a lot of Super Bowl events, and so my mom would come, or I did a polo event for Prince William and Kate.
So I wanted to bring that up, mostly because I want to ask you, where do you think Kate is?
I have no idea.
Have you heard about all
yeah,
that?
the rumor. I have no idea where she is. I mean, I will say
Where'd you go,
that
sis? Like,
when
what's going on?
when they got married, I mean, so we did this polo event, and
tell
we
me.
had no idea. We had to sign an NDA. We had no idea who it was for, what we
Oh,
were
okay.
doing, and so I just showed up to this meeting, and they start talking, and we're given is we're not sure if it'll actually happen, but this is the tentative dates. And then the next meeting, they said, okay, this is who it's for, and the reason that we're not sure when it'll happen is because they're getting married.
Oh,
And so it was a month or two after they got married.
wow.
And so it was dependent on their wedding date being set. And so
And where was it in California?
Santa Barbara.
Oh,
in
okay,
Santa
yeah.
Barbara.
Cool.
So it was fun. And so the planning went into it. And it was one of those times where you just think, oh, I got to, my business partner and I at the time, there was kind of this receiving line, and we got to meet William and Kate, and we were the last ones. So everyone, it's very structured, and you get to meet them for like pretty much shake their hand. But because we were at the end of this receiving line, we had some time to kill. And so I just remember Prince William going, Brian, this must have been a logistical nightmare. And I thought, no, I mean, it's so easy to just like close down the highway in California and Santa Barbara.
It was nothing.
It was
I'd do it all
nothing.
over again for you.
Yeah. But it was cool. They couldn't have been nicer.
Oh,
She was
she's gorgeous.
so beautiful and so kind,
beautiful.
and he was the nicest person.
Oh, good. I love to hear that.
And so it was fun. It was one of those cool things that you kind of say, you know what, I did.
Yeah,
party
you
for a
did
royal.
that. We
did
that.
that. And it was a
And
lot
you
of
should
work.
talk about it.
It was a lot of work, but also at the same time, it was, it was
Once
cool.
in a lifetime.
Once in a
No, it's
lifetime.
so cool.
So it was one of those really fun.
I feel like, well, I want to ask you, because I know you said that some of your interests were like directing and production and all of those things. Does it like, are you satisfied with event planning because of those, like, you love the production side of things, and like, or do you prefer more of the design that you do, or what is your favorite part of
Well,
it?
I love the design part of it.
Yeah.
And when I do the design, I do the full production. So
Right.
I do all the elements that go into the production. So when I lived in LA, I was the planner and the designer and with my business partner. And then now I just do mainly the design. So I'll get brought in by a planner, and then I'll design for the planner. And I love the design part of it because I love the creativity. And like we were talking
Very
about earlier,
satisfying.
there's when someone trusts you and they don't, I think that you get to a point in your career where you really hope that they'll trust you, and that your work kind of speaks for itself, or, you can have references of your clients. But when you get to that, when your client gives you that freedom, I do the same thing. I think that we all want to have a little bit of, we're all control freaks. We want to have control. And especially, say someone that's getting married, a lot of times it's all they think about. It's
or they've dreamed about it forever.
Your wedding is all consuming. And I always tell, there's two parts to this. I always tell my clients, like, do not put the day up on a pedestal, because if you put the day up on a pedestal, then you'll be very sadly disappointed, because it's all you're thinking about.
Yeah.
And then I always tell a lot of my clients, I say, it's not your mom's wedding. It's not your grandmother's wedding. It's your wedding.
It's your wedding.
We are at a
run
point
into that
now
a lot in the
where,
South.
you break tradition. There are no longer rules in weddings other than getting you down the aisle and saying I do. And it doesn't even have to be an aisle, but you just have to say I do.
That's so true. Fall out of the sky.
Yeah, and do whatever you want to do
what you
because
want.
I think, and I tell my clients this all the time, I was like, anyone can recreate pretty. Anyone can take pictures from Instagram and we can all recreate pretty, or whatever your vibe is or your style. But a really cool wedding is one that is who your guests walk in and they say, this is them.
Like, oh, I see this in them.
Yeah, and this is who they are, and I totally see them. I had a wedding we did in Cabo, and the bride and I spend a lot of time, like, I don't want to churn and burn weddings. I don't want to do them every weekend. I really want to hand select who I'm doing a wedding for. And I spend a lot of time. I mean, I would say probably 80% of the brides, especially that I worked with, I still communicate a lot with on Instagram. We still talk.
I love that.
And
you build
we become, I mean, a lot of them become like my little sister. And I think that goes back to when I sent my little sister down the aisle and say, like, I mean, this is name dropping again, but I remember handing Courtney Cox her bouquet and just being like, oh, here you go. And thinking, oh, I'm handing Courtney Cox to,
but you don't see her like that. You see her as like a,
but it was that day. It's just like a little sister. And so I think a lot of times the brides that I work with I become protective of them and I spend time with them. And I had one bride who we went to lunch and she was telling me a story how the week before she loved wigs and she had like 6 wigs as everyone does. And she had 6 wigs in her purse and they went to this dinner party. So everyone sat around with wigs on. And I was like, well, why don't we do that for your wedding? And so we ended up getting wigs for every guest. We wrapped them up, put them under everyone's chair. Everyone sat like down Oprah. For dinner. Yeah, I was like, you get a wig, you get a wig. So everyone had dinner. And then before the party started, they thanked everyone for coming. And we said, now open your gift. And so we had no idea what wig was in what box. And everyone opened their, and it was like grandma with a mohawk and, Aunt Susan with, a ponytail.
You would only be able to do something like that when you make it personal. You make it about yourself. I mean, you make it for yourself.
And the fireworks went off. Everyone had their wigs on and the party became the most fun party. And I think that
I mean, I put a wig on, I'm a different person.
Exactly. And everyone's like sweating. It's on the beach in Cabo, but they have their wigs on and it was because I spent the time getting to know my client rather than it just being like a churn and burn and we're going to make pretty, that made it something special. I think that one of the places that you can really do something different is, and you can show some personality, is like in escort cards. I'm doing one right now where he's from Austin and from Texas and she's from Georgia. And so it says, how do you put your peach in your seat? And so we're doing cowboy boots and peaches for everyone's names. Oh, and it just brings in, because I mean, obviously the wedding, she wants blue and white and we're doing blue and white and it's going to be beautiful, but like that's who they are. And so we're having fun with the whole escort card wall display.
Yes, for sure. And it's good to bring in personal touches like that. I think there's a lot of trends that people get stuck on. So like listening to your planner or your designer and seeing like what else is out there. Of course, we're going to make your dreams come true. If you want your dog on your signature drink cup, that's fine. However, there's more to you.
No, I'm just kidding.
There's more to you than just your dog. But that's just something that I feel like people should be more open to. If you're hiring someone for this service, trust them and let them get to know you and help you with finding these signature things about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that, people always ask what are trends in weddings and what do you see as trends. And I really start off by saying, who am I to say what you want is a trend or not be a trend? So I don't really ever look at, I mean, there are things that I've had clients that want that I would say is hideous or may not end up on Instagram.
How do you feel about gold safari chairs?
I mean,
it's a big debate in this office.
They don't bother me because, I would rather someone spend their money on an amazing, beautiful, huge arrangements.
He doesn't hold grudges like I do, obviously.
No, I mean, I think that you just go through and it's about putting the money where, I always start off with my clients, wherever they're getting married is I always say everything that's free is for me. And so I start with everything free that the venue provides, and we use that and we build that as our foundation, because I would rather use the free elements that are there so that I can then create the more wow factors.
I'd rather use the tables they have instead of rent it, so we can have, 10 grand towards flowers. I mean, more money, more fun stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but I do think that, that question of trends and, putting a dog on a cup or whatever, I mean, but we, as what we do, we see the same thing over and over again.
Right.
They don't.
Yeah.
And so you have to remember, and it took me a long time to really think, okay, this is hideous, but you know what? This is what she wants or he wants or they want. And, if that's what they want, I'm going to make their dream day come true. And that's my ultimate job, rather than having my ego involved in it. And so that's why when I throw, like, my 40th birthday was the Ruby and Sapphire Ball, and it was black tie, and rubies are your 40th stone. My birthstone is a sapphire, so it was black tie. Well, you had to wear blue, red, black, or white, and it was formal. I had a 16-piece band, an 8-piece gospel choir. I had just designed the American Idol parties, so I used a lot of the decor from the American Idol parties, and then
reuse, guys. You don't need to know what we do with your florals afterwards. Just kidding. I'm kidding.
I had a 40-foot dessert buffet of my 40 favorite desserts because I have a total sweet tooth. But that's where if I don't get to, I get to design for me. So if we're being paid to design for someone, and you also get to a point where you can either say no to that client, or you can make their dreams come true, and it may not be your dream.
What's something you would say no to? Is that a hard question?
It is a hard question because
it's, What would
I say no to? I don't know that I would say no. I mean, I would more say no if we just didn't vibe.
Yeah.
Because for me at this point in my career, especially,
who's gonna work.
I only want to have fun.
Yeah.
And I only want to work with people that are willing to have fun. And if you're not willing to have a good time in this process, because personally, I think that what I do is the most fun of the wedding.
Right.
So, and we should have a good time. Right. And if we're not going to have fun doing it. I think about that
all the time. Sometimes I'm at my computer and I'm like so stressed about something, or like somewhat like a bride's mom or someone's really on my ass or something. And I sit there and I'm like, I'm a silly little wedding planner. That's my job. I'm making a pretty little layout, and I'm making a pretty little mood board and a schedule. And like, my friend is in med school right now learning about someone's bones. I'm like, I need to chill. Like, this is fun.
And it's funny that you say that, because, they come out with all these lists, and it's thrown around all the time. That wedding planning and event planning is one of the top 5 most stressful jobs.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
It is. It is stressful, but then you look at the other ones are like a general, a surgeon, and a wedding planner. And yes, it is stressful.
I think we're actually just dramatic in those polls that are sent out or whatever, wherever they get that statistic. Well, the wedding planners they ask we're all dramatic.
Well, we use that. I mean, of course we're going to use it because, that's good stuff for us to show why our jobs are so stressful. But you get to the point where you can choose who you're going to let stress you out.
I love that.
And I think that every client requires a different set of hand-holding. And some of them,
for sure.
I mean, I've had clients where I had a client last year who got married in Amelia Island, and I literally met her the day of the wedding. The planner was like, you guys, you run with this. We got on the phone. I did this. She sent me one picture of what was the inspiration. It was this really cool, like, light blue tulle dress with a bouquet. And I built the whole design around this one picture.
That's awesome.
It was one of my favorite weddings I did last year. And the bride gave me full reign. And I literally met her because she was from New York. I met her when we were setting up for the wedding. And it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And then there's other, clients and couples that you require a lot more hand-holding, and
for sure. Yeah. Some people
do
just
revisions
need
and revisions. And so it kind of weighs itself out. And, there's always this discussion of, well, how much do you charge? And do you charge by the hour? And I feel like you have a give and take, and you rob from Peter to pay Paul, and some people rob more of your time and some people rob less. And so it doesn't really quantify. because that's such a hard area. And
It is, like, business wise. I mean, I feel like that's where most of the stress comes
Yes.
from in wedding planning, because it is something that's so, you can't put a, I mean, you can put a price tag on it to an extent, but like you said, some brides need, or some clients need more hand holding, and that means more hours, and that
Right.
means more money. I mean, you're paying for a service. So
Right.
it is hard, but it's also, like you said, like,
but
it
then you
just
can have a
depends.
client that is the easiest in the world, and
Yeah,
so
they give you one photo and they give
Right.
you free reign. Like,
right,
that's the
and,
yeah.
and so I mean, that is obviously the dream client, but
Yeah.
that is not always going to be the case
No, yeah.
because people have dreamed about this for their whole life, and
Absolutely.
this is that one magical day,
Yeah, just one.
just one.
We've done a few for our same person.
Well,
Which
that's
is so
good.
fun.
That's good,
Every time it's different.
right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and that's good that says something about y'all because
Yeah, they're returning.
well, they're returning, but a lot of people don't want to they don't want to associate their first marriage with their second marriage.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my God, I had a client this past fall. She got married like a few months after her ex got married, and they almost had it at the same venue.
Oh.
And then she was like, I don't think I should do, what do you think? Like, do you think I should do my wedding at the same place he is? I'm like, probably not.
well, at least they didn't.
It's up to you, whatever you want.
At least she wasn't thinking, oh, should I get married at the same place I got married the first time?
Yeah, that was an option though.
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
Then I'll just wear the same dress, and
yeah,
why don't I
well,
just
they
have all the
used
same
the same-
bridesmaids?
I
and
mean,
same
might
color
need to cut
palette.
this out, Peyton, but they used the same template for her programs and stuff from her first wedding, because I guess she really liked it,
well, hey, you know
You
what?
like what you
again,
like.
again, that's her trend.
and that's her thing.
That's her
and
thing.
That's fine,
and if
honey.
she had the best day of her life, then that's
She
all.
was
And
gorgeous.
she's had 2 of the best days of her life.
She
and
has.
There you go.
And they were both wonderful.
There you go.
And I was
See?
there. So,
For both of them.
before we wrap up, I have to ask you.
Okay.
You don't have to name drop, but you can describe, and then you can tell me afterwards. Who was the worst celebrity client you've had to work with?
Well, I know who it was, but I won't say it. on
Right, you'll
here.
tell me after.
Um,
Sorry, guys.
it's a female.
Okay.
We were doing, and this actually, I wasn't even doing an event.
Mhm.
It,
Wow.
It was for a comedy award show that I was a PA on,
Mm-hmm.
and she was known as being just like the nicest person on the planet, and she was the most horrific woman on the planet, and was so nasty.
Oh, I feel like
and so mean.
I want to guess after this before you tell me, because I feel like I know. So, knowing what you know now, what's the advice you would give yourself when you first started?
The advice I would give myself.
It's gonna be general, not just like
No,
events.
I think that, so when I started,
Mhm.
the resources were significantly less than they are now, and the industry was significantly different. When I first started, everyone was much more of a competitor rather than a colleague, and I think that conferences and the accessibility to other people in the industry has
Mhm.
completely changed the game, and I think that if you're just starting out, getting involved and meeting other people that do what we do has been the best thing for my career. And, going to Engage or RSVP, which are amazing conferences where you'll meet people that do what we do. And, I think through that, if I would have known to do it earlier, but it wasn't really an option,
Yeah.
I would have definitely wished someone would have said that. I am one of those people where I think that, you can educate. I call going to those conferences. I'm speaking at one in Istanbul next week,
Mhm.
and I call it wedding camp.
Yeah.
The speakers are great, but it's more about the networking and the people that you will meet. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that, now this just influx of there's so many people doing what we do,
Mhm.
and the industry has gotten so much bigger and so much more vast that having that ability to meet other people and to know people that do what we do is so
never-ending
beneficial.
learning. Yeah.
Because you learn, but it's learning by the ability to actually talk to people that do what we do. And
Mhm.
I remember I started going to Engage, and then I did an event in DC for the Foo Fighters, and
Cool.
so I had done Dave's wedding, and
Mhm.
I did some of the other Foo Fighters, and I did their baby showers,
Wow.
and so
You're in tight with the Foo Fighters. I love it.
well, it was fun when I was
Yeah.
doing their stuff because Dave is the nicest guy, and his wife is absolutely wonderful. And then I did one of the guitarists, and his wife was also as amazing. And
Seem
so
like unproblematic people.
I got to go. Yeah, we were there on David Letterman's show, and I was backstage with them. And then I went to the after party when they were on Saturday Night Live. So it was definitely fun. So I mean,
cool.
like, these are the things that I totally forget about. And then I'm like,
you're like, oh yeah, I did
pretty
do
cool.
that. Huh?
But now I don't even know what I was saying. What was I saying? I had
meeting people at
So I was doing this event in DC, and so I just called someone that I had met at Engage, and it was automatically vetting all the people that I needed to use rather than calling up every single vendor and every single rental company and every single florist. She was literally like, use these people. Where I think that it's changed, where it used to be no one is going to share this information.
Exclusive, yeah.
It used to be like, I'm keeping my Rolodex to myself. I'm not going to share. I'm only going to do this, and we're going to live in our own little silo. And now this industry is, I mean, I'm sitting here in y'all's office, and
right.
It's fun that we get to collaborate and we get to meet other people and do cool things. And I mean, I've traveled the world.
It's beneficial for everyone involved too.
Totally.
There's no like benefit in hiding who you work with, what you do, and everything. It's more like you said, you're learning from people and you're getting to know their experiences. And I mean, with us opening franchises throughout the country, we would not. I mean, it wouldn't be nearly as successful if we didn't network with the people that we were opening a franchise in their city. And we're very thankful for those people because it's gained us a lot of success in every city we've franchised in. So
well, I mean, and like I have friends who I'll go and freelance for them, or they'll come freelance for me.
For sure.
And they're at the height of their game, and now I'd rather pay my friends that are established. I mean, it's hard to find good help these days too, and we all know that. So it's not a bad thing, but it's great that like we are all friends. I mean, I did my 50th birthday in Italy last year, and there was 12 planners at my 50th birthday. So, I mean, I had 50 people in Italy, and of those 50 people, 12 of them were planners.
Nothing was going wrong. There's no chance.
You know what? Here's the funny thing, and I mean, I've said it to them, so it's not like a secret, but they literally took off their planner hats.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like herding cats. I was like, you guys literally complain about your worst clients, and you guys have now just become...
You're being them.
I was like, come on, cats. And they're like, meow, 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 all over the place. And
there's some freedom when you're a wedding guest now.
Yeah, like, for sure.
There's awareness, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But there's also this freedom that I'm like, sometimes, not to get off track too much, but sometimes we have wedding parties where one of their bridesmaids is a planner or says they are a planner, and you can feel them judging you. But God, I am so excited. My best friend's getting married in July in Houston. Bless
so are you the planner, or are you?
Hell no. I'm gonna sit back and relax, and I'm just like, I can't imagine.
Your bridesmaid?
Yeah, I'm her maid of honor.
Okay.
Matron of honor. But I can't imagine looking at her planner and like judging her for what she's doing ever, because I'm just like, I feel you, girl. You're doing your damn best. If you need help lining them up, let me know. But otherwise, I'm going to be throwing back a tequila shot real quick.
Well, the question I get asked most by people is, what is it like when you go to an event? Or are you judging everything in an event? And I used to, but now I just go and enjoy myself, and I just want to go have fun.
Yeah, and your name's not on it.
Yeah, exactly. So now I understand, and I do understand why everyone to take off their planner hats. And
so
now that I reflect
think.
and I answer that question sitting right here, but yeah, you just go and you want to enjoy yourself and have fun. And I mean, we had the first night when everyone arrived, we were in Tuscany, and so it was called When in Rome Adjacent. So it was a gladiator toga theme, and
that frat in you is coming out. The toga party.
It was so much fun. And then I had one party was a pool party, and everyone had to bring a pool float that represented their personality.
So what did you bring?
Mine was a airplane.
Love that.
Because you travel a lot. All the time. So one of my really good friends, we call her the top supermodel. So she used to be the top shoe model because she had the perfect size 6 foot. So she brought a giant red stiletto. One of my friends is a big social media person and stuff like that. So she brought a giant cell phone. Another one of my good
That'd be
friends.
hers.
Another one of my good friends was Miss Teen USA, so hers was a crown.
Love it.
And so it was
That's
just
so
funny
fun.
to see what everyone thought their personality was through their pool float. So I mean, imagine having 50 giant pool floats,
Yeah.
all
Have a
and
big
it was
pool.
amazing decor. And then
Oh,
we had
yeah.
a black tie dinner, and then we went to Florence for 4 days, and then Rome for 3.
The dream.
It was
Did
so
all
much fun.
50 people stay for that last
So
part
we
of
had
the trip?
50 in Tuscany, and
Mhm.
then we had 29 in Florence and 24 in Rome.
Love that.
And it was fun. It was, if I ever got married, I would do a destination wedding just
Really?
for the fact, and people ask me all the time, would I do a destination? I think that when you do a destination wedding nowadays, we're all about experiences. And that's
Mhm.
why my 50th birthday I wanted it to be an experience. And
Mhm.
so I maybe overplanned, and then we had a private tour of a castle one day and
Mhm.
breakfast at the castle. And then we went to this, like, there was things but I wanted
place,
everyone,
yeah.
if my friends were flying there, and
If
I
you're
wanted
there,
to make
you want it to
sure
be-
that they got to experience the region, and
Yeah.
we did a lot of things. And and through meeting people and doing things in life, one of my good friends is from Florence, and she's very well connected. So we got to go into this Medici, one of their houses.
Whoa.
And we had, which is amazing, that has
Yeah.
a view of the Duomo or the church and all
Mhm.
that stuff. So I wanted to make sure that everything they did felt special, and that they, when someone's going to pay for their airfare, I wanted to give them the experience. And that's what I
Yeah.
think when we do a destination wedding, it's kind of one of those things where you want to make sure that you're entertaining your guests and giving them the full bang for their buck.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
That's so cool.
but I guess I segued really off on what I would.
Well, we
but
both did. I'm not staying up. Throw this out the window.
But I think that, it's really meeting people and
Mhm.
embracing the community and going to networking things and meeting those people that can help your career.
For sure.
Because, I think people are much more willing to help. And
Yeah.
I get calls all the time. And I will help anyone. I always used to say when I moved to LA that I could make anyone a star before I could make myself a star, because I would rather help anyone else with their success, because
Yeah.
I'm not good at asking for myself, but I will ask for anyone else.
When's your birthday?
September 8th.
So what are you?
Virgo.
Planner.
Is that? Yeah, I guess a lot of
Yeah.
us are Virgos. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I was. I love traits that Virgos have. Shit. I'm a Gemini.
Oh,
Watch your
two
back.
of you.
Yeah, you got the good one today.
Oh,
You're
well,
welcome.
I'm glad.
Just kidding.
The other,
I love it. Okay, what is your this takes the cake moment? Like the biggest event or the hardest event or anything?
it takes the cake moment. I would say, well, my biggest event would probably be for Prince William and Kate.
Yeah, that's
I used to
crazy.
design the Emmy red carpets too, which was
Oh,
fun, and
that's so
media
cool.
tent, so that was fun. But I would say the hardest event that I ever did was on Alcatraz. There was a TV show called Alcatraz, and so I had to transform Alcatraz into, the show took place in 1963, the day that Alcatraz closed and all the prisoners vanished, and
Yeah.
then they started popping up like 40 years later or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I had to transform Alcatraz into 1963. And so if you're familiar with Alcatraz, it's an island.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've done a few deep dives.
And it's a national park,
Yes.
essentially. So it's open all year. And so what we had to do was I designed everything, all the furniture and I transformed the cafeteria into the cafeteria from 1963.
Whoa.
So I had all the furniture and everything made in LA, put in shipping containers, trucked up to San Francisco. Then we had to put it on barges, send the barges across to the Alcatraz. Then we had to take the barges and get them off. Well,
Yeah.
because the way Alcatraz is built, they have sally ports, which go all the way up, which is
Okay.
like a pathway.
Okay, yeah.
So the only way that you can get up is through a flatbed truck. So we had to take everything off of the shipping containers, then put them in flatbed trucks, then take it up to the prison, and then we had to do this all overnight, because
In
they're
one
open,
night?
because they're closed, or they're open during the day.
Yeah.
So we had to get it all up there overnight, hide it in the kitchen of the prison, and then get off the island by 6 a.m. so that it could open for the day. Then we went back on the last bus or boat, whatever.
Yeah.
And then we had 2 hours to set up a full screening room in one of the cell blocks and the whole party. Guests come, watch the show, have the party, get everything off the island by 6 o'clock the next morning.
I'm never complaining again.
It was freezing cold. Ford Shelby was we had this $3 million car, and because of insurance reasons, I was the only person allowed to drive this $3 million car. So I'm driving this $3 million car around Alcatraz, which was cool.
Yeah, pretty cool.
But that was definitely I always say that if I can do an event on Alcatraz, I can do an event anywhere, because that was.
You've literally been to Alcatraz.
Yeah, it was. I was a prisoner.
That's
I was a prisoner on Alcatraz. We literally had hats made because it was so cold that said I survived Alcatraz.
No, wait. Okay, so we did an island wedding. Can I say the island or no? We did a wedding on a private island for a F-list celebrity and his fiance. They didn't even actually get married. They were just crazy. So they hired us on, and then just radio silence. They hired us for full planning. Gave us a few things here and there, radio silence a week before. I was calling all the vendors that we think they might have hired and asked if they were doing the wedding. I mean, that's how weird it was. We could not get a hold of her. And the only noise we got from her was that, "You're still coming, right?" "Yeah, we're coming." So we build a timeline based on all of these people we've called that are involved with our wedding who are also clueless. And then we go back and communicate with the vendors. Weirdest thing ever. But basically, it was a whole island. They were walking around everywhere, getting all of this, just surprise stuff here and there because the bride didn't tell us anything. And they got sweatshirts made that are mimicking the rug, the ugly purple and neon green rug that was inside of this house that says, "I survived island." Nothing like Alcatraz. We would get full sweatsuits made of that if we did that. Oh, my God. When was that?
Years
Recently?
ago.
Or
No,
okay.
it was years ago. I mean, that was when I lived in LA was when I got to do the...
I think
That was my
that's your "this takes the cake" moment.
Is that good? Did you I just
Plug it, tag it.
wrapped it all back up?
Yeah, perfect. Well, this was such a time getting to know you and all of your experience. I feel like my eyes are open to so much, and definitely humbled on my whole island experience because holy crap. But yeah, go ahead. Tell us your Instagram, plug your company. I mean, whatever you want. Follow his adventures.
B Worley Productions. B Worley Productions is my Instagram.
Love it.
Brian Worley is my website, but I don't think I've updated that in a while. So, I guess my Instagram, but it's also one of those things where my Instagram is my Instagram. So you have to you may have to go back a few days to see a reel on a wedding, but they're there.
Yeah.
So
love it.
But that's kind of, I mean, I'm too old to do all those other people are like, "What's your Snap?" I'm like, "I don't have Snapchat. I'm too old."
I feel like I'm over Snapchat, and I'm not. I used to use it all the time, and now it's stupid. But anyway, well, thank you so much for coming on.
No, thank you for having
me. I loved it.
It was fun.
Yeah, good. I'm glad.
No, it was totally
I love hearing
fun.
about it.
It was totally fun.
I'm gonna find out the celebrity that was mean to him. Sorry, guys. You'll never know. But follow us on our Instagram, our Facebook at This Takes the Cake. Subscribe to our podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, everything. And thank you so much. We'll see you next week.